Good WordPress gone bad. How to troubleshoot WordPress when things go wrong. Hi, I'm Damon. I've been a web developer for 9 years and I've been working on the WordPress platform for 2 years. I love the platform, it's awesome, and I really love helping people with WordPress to solve their problems and to help create really cool things on the platform. I also create custom web-based software for the powersports industry. This talk, Good WordPress Gone Bad, is a talk that I gave at Milwaukee WordCamp in 2015. So let's get into it. Most days working with WordPress is really enjoyable. It's a beautiful sunny day in a field, in a meadow. It's like lying in a field of clover and just enjoying the day. WordPress is great. It's so easy to use and so powerful. It's like playing the Alpenhorn with 50 of your favorite friends out in the mountains. It's really awesome. But sometimes, unexpectedly, boom, something can go wrong. And when it does, it's generally pretty bad looking at the surface. Your beautiful WordPress site can be instantly transformed into something that looks like a post-zombie apocalyptic city. So what do you do now? Do you run away? Do you get angry? No. You need to have a strategy. You need to be prepared in advance for when things go wrong. And you need to know how to solve common problems in WordPress. And know where to get help in case you do need an extra hand. So we'll talk through how to be prepared in advance, how to solve some of the most common problems, and where to get help. So first of all, being prepared involves having a backup strategy. You might be thinking, why do I need a backup strategy for my website? You need to protect your hard work and investment. You probably spent countless hours getting your site to be where it is today. You may have also spent a lot of money hiring someone to help you build and create this site. You have a huge investment in this, so it's critical to have a backup in place to protect that investment. A lot of people don't realize it, but many hosting providers don't offer a backup. They leave that on you, so it's important to have that backup. Upgrades can go wrong. WordPress is coming out with updates all the time. Your plugins are, your theme is coming out with updates. Sometimes these updates don't go as planned and can cause things to go wrong. Having that backup can help you recover when these updates go wrong. People make mistakes. I know I've made my fair share of them, and you can probably think of some that you've made yourself. So having that backup gives you the confidence to try things out, to do things without having to worry, am I going to make a mistake here? You could be hacked. WordPress is the largest web platform, or web CMS I should say, on the internet right now. So it is also the largest target for hackers. It's real easy to get hacked, and once they're in, you never know what a hacker has done. And it can be really hard to get your site back to a good, known, clean state. So it's important to have that backup. So you can just go back to a period of time before that it was hacked, change your passwords, harden your site, and then you know your site's clean and good to go again. So what is a good backup strategy? Automatic backups are really important. You don't want to have to go through a 10-step process every time you want to back up your website. Even having just one button to press to do the backup is still not good enough, because you're probably going to forget from time to time. You're probably going to get too busy and go, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, and then you're going to have inconsistent backups, and before you know it, there's going to be big spans of time where no backup exists at all. So just an automatic backup that happens, so you don't even have to think about it, is really important. Frequency. How often should I back up my WordPress site? A good rule of thumb is to do a daily backup. But you want to think to yourself, if I lose everything that I did today, how bad would that be? Most of the time the answer is, well, at most I got to spend another day recreating everything I did. But if it goes out longer to weeks, months, or there's no backup at all, just think about how long it could take to rebuild and recreate all that content. It may be impossible. So Generally, daily is good. If you're really pumping out a ton of content, maybe even a couple times a day would be even better for you, but for most people, daily is good. You want to make sure that you store your backups remotely. So that means store them somewhere else besides the server that your website is on. Because if something goes wrong with the server and you lose your website, chances are you're going to lose the backups as well. So you want to push your backups off to another location. That could be maybe another server somewhere. That could be another service such as Google Drive or Dropbox, something like that. Just make sure that a backup gets sent somewhere else. I have seen horror stories where hosting companies have just disappeared overnight and left everyone without their files, their websites, everything. So if you've got a copy, you can at least then restore your site from that offsite location on your new hosting provider. So the next question is, what should I back up? What needs to be in that backup I'm creating every day? You need to have all of your website files. I always say just include everything. You could potentially only back up what's unique to your site and not to the core of WordPress, but I just find it's easier to just back up the entire thing. Then you're confident that you have everything and you haven't accidentally missed something. You also need to back up your database. A lot of people don't even realize a database is a part of WordPress, but that's what's storing all of your page content. It's storing your login information so you can log in, your settings, which theme is currently active, all that stuff. So if you don't have a copy of your database, you don't have a complete backup and you won't be able to restore it properly. You want to make sure that you test the backup. You need to know that it really works. When you set it all up, get it working, it says it's backing up, but do you really know for sure that it's going to restore? You want to do a test. If you have a way to run a site on your own computer or laptop, that is a great place to do a restore to make sure that you get your full site back. Also, maybe you have a staging environment or a test environment somewhere. That's another great place to restore a backup to make sure that everything is truly there and it all works. Know how to restore too. So on your real live site, know what the steps are to do a restore. A lot of times it's just clicking one button, but just know the process because when you really need it, sometimes it can be a frustrating or kind of panicky situation. And if you've got the steps down cold, then it's just really easy, methodical, and you don't have to worry about, okay, what do I do now? What do I do next? You just know it. And I would do a test restore even on your real live site, just so you've gone through the whole process and you know it's going to work. So what are some good possible backup solutions? There are a ton of different plugins available for backing up a WordPress site. Here's two recommendations that I have. One is called Backup Buddy and the other is Updraft Plus. Backup Buddy is a paid plugin, but with that paid plugin you get support and you get a greater level of guarantee that this company is going to be around and be there for you when you need it. So if you have questions or problems, you can go to them. But if you don't have the budget, Updraft Plus is another good plugin that's been around a long time. Just keep in mind this level of support is probably not going to be the same. It's going to more so be asking questions in forums or via email, more so than being able to do like a live chat or a call, those kinds of things. And there's no guarantee that they will always offer this free option, and they could go away. Now, Updraft Plus has been around a long time, so I would be surprised if they go anywhere, but they don't have, you're not paying them, so they really don't have as much of a commitment to you. So, Backup Buddy if you can, but Updraft Plus is another great option. Both of them offer ways to push your backups remotely, schedule them daily, those kind of things. They're good solutions. So that's a backup strategy. Another strategy is revision history. This little known feature is a great way to get yourself out of a jam from time to time. I know it's solved me problems before. So what is revision history? It allows you to see the changes that have been made to a post or a page over time. You can go back to a previous version of a page and restore it. So if you make a mistake or something goes wrong, you're able to go back and get back to a good state. Just keep in mind that it's limited to the page title and the page content. So widget areas, other settings, other content areas, unfortunately none of those are covered in revision history. But the page content's the majority of where your content is, so this is a great tool. So let's walk through an example of how to use revision history to get something back. So up in the top right, click on the Screen Options link, and then make sure that you have revisions checked, or check it if it's not. Then you can click Screen Options again to hide that menu. And down towards the bottom of the page now, you're going to see a revisions section. This is going to show you all of the changes that have been made, by who and when, to this page or post. This really comes in handy. So let's say, for example, we delete this first paragraph of text in our post. It's gone. And we save. And we go, oh man, I really didn't want to delete that. So no problem. You can go over to the right hand side and click on the link that says revisions. And it's going to show you what has changed. So on the right side of the screen, you're going to see the page or post as it is right now. This all works the same for both pages and posts. And on the left side, you're going to see what it looked like before you hit save the last time. So it's the last version of this page or post. So you see on the left, our first paragraph is there, and it's highlighted in red to make it stand out so you know that's what had been deleted. Now you'll notice a little slider here up at the top, and if you drag that back, it's going to show you the next version, oldest, the next version, oldest, the next version, oldest, going back in time. So you can see each version, each time the page has been saved, what it looked like. So if we drag that back one, we'll see now in the right column, our first paragraph is back. So if we click restore this revision, now our first paragraph is back. We're back to what it looked like before we hit save this last time. And our paragraph is back and everything is back in order. So that's revision history. It can get you out of a lot of little problems. So let's take a look at some common WordPress errors. Error establishing a database connection. This error can be pretty annoying and frustrating and comes up fairly frequently from time to time. When it comes up, you can't get into the front of your website or into the admin area generally. So what is happening here? What's happening is WordPress is not able to use the database. One of the most common problems is the login information for the database is incorrect. So just like how you log into WordPress with a username and password, the WordPress files actually log into the database with a special database username and password. If any of that's incorrect, you'll see the error like the one you were seeing there. You have to have access to your hosting control panel in order to solve this. So let's walk through how to fix that. So here's a typical hosting control panel. It may look a little different depending on your hosting provider, but generally the same options exist across almost all hosts. So the first thing you want to find is PHP My Admin and click on that. Then in the left-hand column, you're going to see the name of your database. You're going to want to make note of this, write it down, so in a little while when we check the settings in WordPress, we can compare it to make sure that it's correct. So make note of that and then click on the name of the database there. Now that's going to expand open the tree view here and show you all of the tables that are in the database. If this is empty, you know you've got a bit of a problem. That means the tables are missing for some reason. Also over on the right, you'll want to take a look at the columns there in the main area and see if you see anything that's like locked, error, or anything else that looks out of the ordinary. In that situation, you're going to want to repair your database, and I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. If your tables are completely missing, really your only option is to do a restore from a backup. So in our example here, things are looking good. We've got tables, there's no errors or anything. So we can go close out of there, And the next thing we're going to do is go to the area called MySQL Databases and click on that. And you're going to look for something that says Privileged Users, and that's going to be the username that you need for WordPress to log into the database. So make note of that. And if you're not sure what the password is for that user, you can scroll down and there'll be a link for set password. If you click on that, it'll give you a screen where you can change the password of the database. And then just make note of whatever you change it to, because we'll need that as well in just a moment. This screen also has the repair database option. So you just select your database from the drop-down list and click the repair database button. I've never had this feature do anything to make anything worse, so you really can't harm anything by running this. And hopefully if you've got a locked issue or you've got a corrupt database, it's able to go through and repair the database for you. But don't be afraid to click it. It can sometimes fix some good problems. Then you can go ahead and click up in the top left and click Home. And now we're going to go into the File Manager to compare the settings in WordPress to what the things that we've just noted. So click File Manager, then find wp-config.php. Click on that so it's highlighted in blue, and then click Edit up at the top. You can also do this through FTP if you're more comfortable with FTP. And here we now are displayed that file in a web browser where we can actually edit it and make changes. So we're going to look for the area that's talking about database connection information or database settings. You'll see DB name, DB user, DB password, DB host. These are the main fields or main settings that we're going to configure. So we're going to compare these to the ones we've just noted, database name, database username, database password, and no, this isn't really my database username and password. Make sure that those are correct, fill them in. And then DB host, this is telling WordPress what server that the database lives on. For most hosting providers, that's going to be localhost, like displayed here. However, if localhost doesn't seem to be working, contact your hosting provider and they should be able to tell you what that setting should be. But for the most part, it's localhost. So once we have those settings updated to match what we've made note of, we can go to the top right and click Save. And now, hopefully, our site comes up and you no longer have the error. If you still are seeing the error, then that means there's another problem. There's a problem at your hosting provider potentially. Maybe the database software is not working properly on the server. Maybe the database is corrupt and the repair couldn't solve it. If it's corrupt, restoring is probably the only way to fix that. But if there's a problem at your hosting provider, you're going to have to reach out to them and see what they have going on and see what solutions they can offer for you. Internal server error. Here is the next one of the most common errors that people experience with WordPress. So what is an internal server error? Most often, this happens with the .htaccess file when it has a problem. From time to time, this file can become corrupt, or it can have some incorrect settings in it, or one WordPress plugin puts in something into this file and then another one puts something in, and the two have conflicting settings. So when this happens, it's a really pretty easy fix. You just delete the .htaccess file and have WordPress recreate it. So let's walk through how to do that. First, you're going to go into the hosting control panel again and click on File Manager. Find the file that's called .htaccess and click on that, and then click Delete to delete the file. At this point, if it is the .htaccess file that was the problem, you should be able to get into the WordPress admin area. If you still can't get in, then we'll talk about some other possible solutions. But if you do get in, we need to regenerate that .htaccess file. So first of all, click Settings in the menu, then click Permalinks. On this Permalinks page, there's nothing you actually have to change. All the settings can stay the same. all you have to do is click Save Changes, because anytime that Save Changes button is clicked, it regenerates the .htaccess file for you. So click Save Changes, and your .htaccess file will be back, and your site should be up and running. Some other causes could be a plugin issue or a theme issue that could cause an internal server error, and we'll talk through how to solve those issues next. Here's another good error. This one was probably the most frustrating for me, just a blank white screen. How do you even Google or search for that to try and find a solution? Well, it turns out this blank white screen is the white screen of death. This can be caused many times by a plugin, or it may be caused by a theme. To solve this, what you want to do is disable all of your plugins, verify that the problem has gone away, and then enable them one by one until the problem comes back. Your theme, if that's causing the problem, you want to switch to a different theme. Maybe 2015, 2012, one of those 20 themes, because those are the ones that come with WordPress and they're least likely to have a problem. So you just need to narrow down which one is the problem, and hopefully you can get into the WordPress admin to go ahead and turn off plugins or to switch themes. But if you can't, I'll walk you through here how to do this through the hosting control panel instead. So in the hosting control panel, you want to click on File Manager, then go into the WP Content folder, and then go into the Plugins folder first. So in here, there's going to be a list of folders, and each folder corresponds to one plugin, so there's a folder for each plugin. What you want to do is just go to the first plugin, click on it, click Rename, and then what I do is just add the word off to the end of the folder name. So by renaming one of these folders, what it's going to do is disable the plugin. So by putting off at the end of the name of the folder, you know what the name of the folder is. So when you need to rename the folder back to its original name, it's real simple to do that. So rename the folder, click the rename button, and now hopefully you can get back in. If not, keep going down the line, disabling each plugin one by renaming the folders until you can get into your WordPress admin, and then you'll know which plugin is causing the problem. So if it was a plugin, you can go ahead and re-enable every other plugin except for the one that's causing the problem. But then if there's any updates to that plugin, upgrade it to the latest version. Make sure WordPress is running the latest version, so run any updates there. Make sure that your theme is updated to the latest version. And upgrade all the other plugins to the latest version as well. Hopefully all of the upgrading will cause the plugin to work. Hopefully there'll be a bug fix for you, so you can reactivate the plugin and hopefully the error will not come back. If it does, disable the plugin again and then check the plugin creator's website for more information. A lot of times when an error happens, someone else has probably already reported it, and they will probably have a solution for you, or at least acknowledgement that they know about it and they're working on it. If you don't see anything from the plugin creator, it's time to reach out to them and ask them for assistance. Most are super helpful, I've always found, and you can usually provide them with a username and password. They'll hop into your site, see what's going on, and probably offer a temporary fix, or at least let you know when they will have a fix. Sometimes you can't get a hold of the plugin creator though. You know, a lot of these plugins are free, so people abandon projects and you're just kind of out of luck. So at that point you have to think, is this plugin essential? And are there any alternatives? A lot of times, for a lot of the most common things that people are looking to do, there are many plugins that will do pretty much the same thing. So maybe research an alternative. So if it wasn't a plugin, if you're still seeing the error after you disable all plugins, then most likely it's your theme. So now we'll walk through how to disable your theme if you can't get into the WordPress admin. So first click on the File Manager, then go again to WP Content, and this time go into Themes. So here, each theme will have its own folder. Find your theme that your site's running, click on it, and then click Rename. And again, we're going to just put the word off at the end of the folder name, because by renaming the folder, that's going to disable the theme and it's going to default back to a different theme. So go ahead and click rename. And now here we go. We see we're getting the one of the 20, this is maybe 2014, I'm not exactly sure offhand, but we're getting one of the other themes, but at least the site's coming up now. So in this case, we would know that it was the theme that was the problem. So if it was a theme, you want to upgrade your theme to the latest version. Hopefully that'll include a bug fix that'll solve the problem. Upgrade your WordPress to the latest version. Maybe there's an incompatibility that the latest version will solve. Upgrade all of your plugins to the latest version. Maybe there's a conflict with one of the plugins. If none of that solves it, again, check the theme creator's website for more information. If there's no information to be found, contact the theme creator. Again, they're usually always very helpful, but if for some reason they're not available or you can't get in touch, at that point you're probably going to have to get help from a developer to solve the problem, or you're going to have to select a new theme, unfortunately. I've never really seen it get to that point of having to select a new theme. Usually the theme creators are very helpful and most things can be solved that way. Other errors. There's plenty of other kinds of errors that can happen. Things can look broken. There can be error messages printing out in weird places all over the screen. Maybe a piece of content is way off the screen. Things are just not right. Again, just follow the general troubleshooting steps for most of those errors, and that's how you can resolve them. Disable plugins, disable your theme, update WordPress, update plugins in your themes, and if none of that solves it, contact the plugin or theme creator. Same kind of a thing as what we just went through. If it's still broken, what can you do? Google it. Google is such a great resource for solving WordPress problems. Just type in the error or what kind of problem you're running into, and someone has probably already solved it. It's such a great resource. There's such a huge community around WordPress that so many questions and problems are already answered. The WordPress support forums are awesome. They're super active and they have just huge amounts of answers to questions and problems. Usually when I Google for an error, the WordPress forums are the first thing that come up, and that's where I find my answer. But you can go through the support forums directly at wordpress.org/support. If you don't find an answer and you post it in the forums, you will probably get an answer really quick. Probably within an hour or two, maybe even less, depending on what it is, unless you've really stumped people. But that can happen from time to time. If you can't get any help through the WordPress support forums, then it's time to reach out to a WordPress expert for some help. And just keep in mind, things will go wrong. You just have to keep that in perspective. But as long as you have a plan and know how to recover from the problems quickly, it's not so bad. Just learn from the experience. You know, every problem is a new learning experience, and once you've been through it, you know how to solve that problem and you'll never go through it again, or if you do, you'll have a quick way to fix it. And once it's solved and up and running, just move forward. It's all you can do. So thanks for listening. Again, I'm Damon Chopin at Portlight Technology. You can find me on Twitter at Damon Chopin. The slides for this talk are on my website, portlighttechnology.com. And if there's anything I can ever do to help you out with your WordPress site, don't hesitate to reach out. I look forward to speaking with you. Thanks!